Welcome back. In this video, we are going to create our own composables. So the end result that we want to achieve is this user interface where we have a little text, then we have a text field where somebody can enter a value, then we have two selection options, and we can see the result underneath as a text as well. So how can we get any of this done? Well, therefore, we need to create our own composables. As I said, composables are just functions, special functions. And in order to create our own composables, we need to use the add composable keyword. So in order to use add composable, we need to import those compose libraries here at the top, which is done for us automatically. So you see here this composable that allows us to use the composable keyword and basically say whatever comes next is or should be rendered as a user interface element. So let me quickly say that out a little better. So basically it tells the compiler to treat a function in a declarative way, signals the compose framework that this UI is intended to define a part of a user interface to enable composition and recomposition, which basically means displaying and redisplaying, or like recalculating how it should be displayed where applicable. These are basically the development approaches that Jetpack Compose takes in rendering a user interface. So that's just a different way of displaying the user interface elements in comparison to XML, which we haven't touched, but you will see later on. So identify a function as composables when marked with the composable keyword, as you can see here, and the add keyword needs to be preceding the composable keyword. Otherwise, it just doesn't understand what this composable is supposed to be. So you need to have this add, and this allows composition by simplifying complex UI structures. It enables declarative UI, which takes care of rendering and updating the UI when its state and data changes. So what the heck is that? Well, the thing is, we're going to look at state and data later on. But the thing is that data is constantly influencing our user interface. So when the data changes, we also want our user interface to change. And when our user interface does something to the data, then we want the data to change and also the user interface to change, which basically means we need to make sure that it refreshes the screen when something changes. So if nothing changes, then we don't need to refresh the screen as much, for example. So that's the thing, like the state of data plays an important role when it comes to displaying user interfaces. And that's something we are going to learn in today or tomorrow's videos. Okay, so how do we get to our beautiful little user interface? Well, we can very quickly test this. So we have this greeting text. Okay, so the greeting text says hello, and we have that in our application here. It says hello and then name, and the name that we passed when calling this greeting function or when displaying the user interface, it says Android. So let's just go ahead and run greeting twice and rerun our application. Let's just see what's going to happen. All right. So this quickly runs the application and we can see we still only have one hello Android. Why is that? Well, the thing is, our greeting function might have run twice, but there is no separating what comes after what, and it just doesn't know where it needs to be positioned and so forth. Which is why we need to understand that we need a thing called a column and a row. So what we're going to do is we're going to create our own composable. So I'm going to say add composable, and this will be a function which I'm going to call unit converter, which is what we want to build. Our application will be a unit converter. And now inside of this function, I can go ahead and use other composables. So because my function is a composable, I can use composables inside of it. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to. So I can go ahead and create a column. So now inside of this column, I can have rows. This allows me to create a grid kind of model. All right, so inside of this column, I have rows. A row is another composable. You can see that here, add composable. So this function row needs a modifier, a horizontal arrangement, a vertical alignment, and content. So the content has to be of type composable. So we can just go ahead and create a row inside of our column. And this column, so here all the UI elements will be stacked below each other. Okay, so that means that if we add a text and then we add another text, it will be on top of each other. We can just test that. All right, let's use our greeting composable and let's actually call it like so. Okay, and then use our unit converter instead of our greeting inside here. Okay, so now our surface will contain the content of Unity converter. And now let's rerun it because our Unity converter currently just has the columns and, well, it has a row that's empty, but it has 2 columns. So let's see how this is going to look like. And we can see now we can stack stuff on top of each other. What happened if we put it into the row? Okay, so here, if we rerun it again, we will see that Hello Android will be next to each other. It will not be on top of each other, but it will be next to each other. So you see Hello Android next to Hello Android. So that's the difference between the columns and rows. Okay, so I would say, let me just quickly add that in here. So here all the UI elements will be stacked next to each other. I would say this is a great point to make a break, and I just wanted to show you these little things first, and next we're going to keep going with our user interface. All right, so see you in the next video.